Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Bedford County Sports Talk Live. We're just hopping in here cold turkey without an intro this morning. We want to thank our sponsors, Kincaid
Service
Company.
and First Bank here of Shelbyville. We've got some playoff football to talk about this morning. And before we do that, guys, let's talk about Kincaid Service Company. It's been a great season of them
Agree.
sponsoring us again.
Yep.
And we just appreciate the Kincaids down there on Madison Street. Been around for how many years, guys? 80 something years.
Oh, yeah.
They've been around.
For me.
All three of us are customers of Kincaid
Absolutely.
Service Company and have been for a long time. And one thing that y'all keep talking about is they'll haul it off for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not only will they haul it off, they'll come fix it.
That's the big thing. Most
They'll
places
come
won't
fix
fix nothing
No,
anymore.
most places won't fix
Won't
anything
No,
anymore.
they want you to buy something new.
Exactly. Big box store's not going to do
Nope.
what Kincaid Service Company does. They go the extra mile, and service is their middle name.
I agree.
Let's stop, and we'll hear from First Bank and Kincaid Service Company to get things rolling this morning.
Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today.
All righty, guys. We're back in here to talk some football. Let's go back to Thursday night. We had Cascade ending their season, and it was kind of a rough night, Kenny.
It was tough. Marion County's probably one of the best teams that I've seen play this year. Bar classifications, they're solid. They're solid. Best thing, and I hate to say it, and I'm not being critical or anything, Cascade had senior night. They graduated more senior cheerleaders than they did football players.
Yeah.
But the best thing for Cascade football right now is the season's over, and these young guys can get in the weight room and start building on next year. They played hard. They just out athleted and out physicaled, and it was. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give kudos to Marion County. I'm on the sidelines over there. Those guys are hooping, they're hollering, they're physical, they're getting after it. Never heard the first cuss word from a player, from a coach, for anything. Not the first cuss word, and I commended them when the game was over with. You hardly ever hear or see that in football anymore. So
yeah,
but their season's over. It was a rough season, 1-9. Wasn't the worst because I played an 0-10 team.
Yeah.
So, but it'll get better. Things will get better, and
so they have the off season and then spring to look forward to.
They have the off season in the spring, and
maybe they can get some, take the kids they got now and get some more kids to join them.
Well, just take the kids they got now and just keep getting better. I mean, they basically played a JV schedule all year because I don't think they played but like 3 seniors.
Yeah.
So
Thursday night there was another big ball game.
Yeah.
Pearl Cone and Marshall County.
Yep.
I heard that went into overtime.
Sure did. 24-21.
24-21 Marshall County.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sloppy and muddy, buddy.
It was. And they had a big stop at the 2-yard line to stop Pearl Cone and then kick the field goal to win it.
The Gentry kid, the tailback for Marshall County, that's a senior. He performed. I mean, he got 130 yards, I think. Scored a big time touchdown in the rain. You go back and look at that video, man. It was awesome. They're primed ready for the playoffs.
Oh, they are. And Pearl Cone, I know their record. They've lost a few games, but they lost to 5 and 6. Pearl Cone has a hard time getting anybody to play them outside the region, so they have to play up.
Yeah,
because people don't play.
CPA beat them early. And,
All right, so moving on to community. How'd that game come out?
41-0.
And that was against Watertown. Is that right? All right, so community and Cascade in their season. Both rebuilding, both got young players coming up.
Yep.
They got a lot of work to do, and I'm sure they're going to hit the ground running to do that.
Be a lot
to
of
get
change.
better.
Yeah.
Hey, how about Webb?
Webb
Got a big win last night.
They beat Providence, and they're in
50-34.
They're in the playoffs, so they get to go. I think they go to USJ. So kudos to Webb. I believe this is the first time they made the playoffs.
What'd they end up this year? 5-5 or 6-4?
6-4,
I believe.
Yeah. Pretty good year.
And I was telling Kenny before the show that I was told yesterday, I guess his name is Joel Wyatt, I believe is the big kid out at Webb. Every SEC school has offered him a scholarship except Alabama.
Alabama. Wow. Okay.
And he's up at Tennessee on a visit today.
Well,
that's good to have a local kid getting all those offers. Yep. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, and Coach Gay, by the way, kudos to you, sir.
He's a good guy.
Good guy. And turn that thing around.
I had more fun the night I went to watch Webb.
Yeah.
And I helped. They was a chain person shy, so I helped. And just to listen to those kids talk on the sides, and that was I had fun that night.
Yeah, hearing the kids interact during the game is kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the average person don't ever get to hear that. You get to hear what they're talking about, and you hear their emotions, the stuff they're going through.
Right.
I mean, it's a roller coaster, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Webb's emotions are that they have a total different accent because a lot of those guys are from Canada. Right. And I'm telling you, it was I really enjoyed myself.
But Webb's put up a ton of points this year. How many times this year they scored in the 50s?
I know.
A bunch.
They're athletic as all get out. And if he had an opportunity to have his players 12 months, you'd shed a different kind.
And he's not playing with that many kids. It's more than last year, but he doesn't have that many on the team.
Was he in the 20s? 25,
I think it's something like 25 or 6.
And he didn't play a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll probably play about 18 or 19 kids.
Yeah. All right. Well, big game last night, Bill. Tullahoma, Shelbyville, old-time rivalry, and it lived up to its name.
Sure
it
did.
was just a knockdown, drag-out dogfight.
Right down to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And Shelbyville comes on top, 28-27. It was I'm not going to say it's Shelbyville's best performance of the year.
No, I wouldn't.
It wasn't, but I'll tell you, watching it, I never felt uncomfortable as an Eagle.
Right.
I never felt uncomfortable like the game now. It got tight.
Yeah.
But I think Shelbyville, and again, they didn't play their best game. They made a few mistakes here and there, and a good Tullahoma team capitalized on them. Just like Shelbyville capitalized on a couple of their mistakes. But a really good football game to watch. It was a long game. Got started long, had a long halftime, but it was the game went over till about 10 o'clock.
It's close to 10 o'clock when it was over. But I got a few stats here. 2 big rushing nights. Stephen Bobo led the team in rushing. Had 18 carries for 151 yards, and a lot of them were big plays.
Yeah, they were.
Critical plays. Third down and short, he got it. Mm-hmm. Third down, and I mean it was some big plays mixed in there. He made some good throws. We'll talk about that later. Robert Bailey, he snuck up on them. They keyed on him. You could tell they were going to stop Robert Bailey. He still rushed 23 times, got 107 yards. So 2 rushers over 100 yards.
I'm sitting here smirking, laughing, because several times last night I thought the PA announcer for Tullahoma was talking about our law firm here in Shelbyville.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they would say, Bobo to Bobo, defended by Bobo.
Yeah, I know it. It was the Bobo Bowl.
It was the Bobo Bowl last night.
It was. And
Bobo to Bobo, defended by Bobo.
It's neat to see. Yeah. And I don't know, Bill, did you watch it?
I did. And I'm going to tell you that Andy's other boy can really punt the ball.
Yeah.
Did you notice how good of a punter he is?
Hey, did you see him? The other one caught a beautiful ball right in front of me, double defended.
Yeah.
And
pretty good genes in that Bobo boy, too.
Yeah, they are. They are.
That's a pretty good ball.
But Stephen,
all 4 of those boys are good boys, too.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. They're just top notch.
They got together after the game and talked and had pictures made.
They had a big picture with all.
Yeah, I got a picture of them while they were over there. But Stephen was 7 of 15 passing for 120 yards, one huge pass to LeBron
That
Ransom
was
on
a
4th and 4.
Yep.
A beautiful pass.
First of all, that was a gutsy call.
that was a
Right.
big call.
And it was there. The play was there.
And that, you know why it was there, and then why it was gutsy, because the other team wasn't expecting
They wasn't
it.
expecting it.
And it was a one-on-one double move.
Honestly,
and,
on the double move, they could have called that kid for holding, but he made the catch, got the score. So that was big. To me, that was one of the key plays of the game. And that was a time where we needed a touchdown.
Needed the answer
right
because
then.
that was right after
Right.
they had just scored off the muff kickoff. So we needed the answer right there, big time.
Yep. So back and forth on this. We were up 21-7. I felt like we were in pretty good shape.
Yep.
Until Homa answered.
There you go.
Yeah.
Scored.
That tailback they got, that Marvancy Johnson.
He had 150 yards rushing.
Yep. He's the real deal. But at times you felt like they were gonna pick the momentum up, even when they scored, and it was like 21-14. I felt like we still are kind of got to control of this, and then we had that blunder on the kickoff on the return,
miscommunication.
Yeah.
And two guys trying to catch it.
They were both dialed in on the ball, and
they were both
see each
dialed
other.
in on the ball.
Yeah. It's one of those
But
things.
sadly,
right?
The problem is, again, it's a continuing theme. We continue to let people start at the 40, 45-yard line every time.
Well, we did that pooch. Well, not a pooch, but that little
sky kick.
And when you come back into the playoffs, that's not a good.
Well, the
that's
thing
not good.
about it is we did the sky kick, but we didn't sky kick it
deep
high enough or
and
deep enough
yeah.
that the person had to fair catch it.
Right.
Because that was the intention for the high pooch kick. It was down to about the
32-yard line.
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood. And we didn't get it high enough that he'd have to. Most of the time they'll fair catch it. But they had been anticipating it because they hit the quick return to their sidelines and got outside.
Yeah, they get past the 40.
Scored, got 10 or so yards.
Yeah, honestly, you're going to keep doing that. Let's just kick it out of bounds and just go on and give it to them at the 40.
Well,
not even at the risk of
it out of bounds at the 35. But here's the thing: just because you kick it out of bounds, don't mean they have to accept it. They can move you back, and you got to kick it again.
Right.
And then later we kick it in the end zone with a drive.
But
and
the key here was the missed extra point at 28-27 by Tullahoma. That was huge.
That was. I mean, he hit it off right upright, and
Doink.
I mean, dude. He's got a leg.
He does.
He can
and
kick.
You didn't see that coming either. But that's just football.
Yeah, I know. And
like Coach Dryden says, the ball isn't round.
Exactly.
And it wasn't round there.
But what a way to end the game, though, with Stephen diving.
Oh, huge interception right there at the end.
Big time play.
Yeah.
Big
chip
time.
ball and
one-handed.
Yes. I mean,
got that right hand, left hand up underneath.
He snatched it out of there.
Right out of off the ground.
Yep. So Chevrolet now goes to 9-1, and they go into the playoffs. Bill, we've got the playoff brackets here to look at our region. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Well, we'll play Hillsborough at home.
Okay, next Friday night.
Page will be at home against Columbia.
Hillsborough's 5-5.
Right. And we'll go over the score. There's the rest of the scores in a minute. But Columbia goes to Page. Centennial goes to Lincoln County. Lincoln County beat Columbia last night, 34-14. Handled pretty good.
Yeah.
Dobbs had a big night.
I was under the impression he wasn't going to play.
He played.
I was told he wasn't playing.
He had nearly 30 carries last night for like 173 yards.
I was told the night before by one of the officials at the Cascade game that he was hurt.
He played and he toted the rock.
Good.
I'm confused about Columbia. I really am.
Yeah. I am too.
Well, here's the thing. After next week, there won't be no confusion.
No,
there won't.
Mm-mm.
Tullahoma goes to Nolensville, a rematch of last year, except this year it's at Nolensville, not at Tullahoma.
Right.
And I was talking before we came on. It wouldn't shock me at all to see a Tullahoma rematch in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what it's shaping up for. And they would come to our house.
They would be at Chevrolet this time.
I think Tullahoma gets Nolensville.
That's what I'm talking about.
They do too.
And that's who Chevrolet will face. The winner of Chevrolet Hillsborough will face the winner of Tullahoma.
That's right.
I agree.
So, all right. What about some scores, Bill? What around the
area? All right, around the area here, we had Forest and Fayetteville last night.
No, that was
Thursday night, 34-32. That was a big ball game.
Yeah, overtime.
Huge game. Huge win for Coach Palmer.
That was for second place in a home playoff game.
Page beat Nolensville 42-0. Doesn't shock anybody. Centennial beat Hillsborough 38-9. Thursday night, Oakland 36, Riverdale 21. Moore County lost to Richland 48-21. That surprised me a little bit how bad. But Richland's good.
Richland won that conference, and I don't believe Moore County's going to make a playoff.
I don't think they are either.
I don't think they're in.
Coffee County Thursday night beat Blackman 19-14. That was a big win for them. Spring Hill over Franklin County 42-7. And how about Sequatchie County beating Giles County? When's the last time Giles didn't win that region?
Sequatchie, I believe, is undefeated.
They are.
They beat Marion County earlier in the year.
They sure did.
And
got a really good quarterback.
Well, so now we're into playoff mode.
We've been in the playoff mode for 3 weeks now.
Yeah, I know it. Every game's been important.
That's right.
These last two have been
huge
games, tough, and 2 big wins. So what do you guys think about coming up into the playoffs here, the way Shelbyville is playing at the moment? It seems to be like they're pretty much all the injuries have healed up, barring anything from last night I don't know about, but it looked like we got out of that game okay against Hillsborough.
I think last night was a good wake-up call for the Eagles.
Yeah.
I think they may have been riding a little high after the Lincoln County and the difference in the score of the Lincoln County going into Tullahoma. Right. And then the big, long delay before the game and the Eagles standing out. They stood in the end zone down there when they came out of the locker room a good 10 minutes waiting on them to finish senior night. So, and I don't think they played their best game.
I don't either.
And that
especially defensively, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I will tell you.
Because our defense had been dominant.
Yeah.
Tullahoma played well up front on both sides of the ball.
Especially their guards, I thought, played really well in the middle of the line.
They played well. They pulled, they kicked, they trapped. They played well on both sides.
Their coaching staff did a really good job of putting them in a good position on both sides of the ball, I thought.
And I'm going to tell you, the boys pretty thick.
Yeah,
they're pretty big and thick. I mean, you know firsthand how thick 78 is.
78's a big young man.
Eye-to-eye contact, huh?
Oh, yeah. I stared him in the face for a split second.
Boom!
But that was I do Tullahoma. They really had a good game plan. And they played well.
They did.
But
both those Johnson kids are good too.
Yeah,
both of them, the brothers, both the brothers.
That's Anthony Johnson that played ball here in Shelbyville. That's his grandkids. He told me last night.
Right. Yeah.
Good athletes. Tullahoma's 4 of their best athletes have shovel ties.
They sure do.
And Marvancy is coming back next year. He's just a junior this year, and their quarterback will be back. So, and the Bobos will be back. So they're going to have a good team coming next year too. Right. And I think you're right. I think we go up. I think Tullahoma's going to beat Nolensville. We're going to have that rematch. I would love to see that.
Wouldn't that be great?
Tullahoma 2 times in 1 year.
1 year.
Oh,
be awesome.
All right. Well, guys, looking forward to the playoffs. Anything jump out at you guys from other?
Page is really good.
Yeah,
I mean they're really good.
Yeah, good.
And I saw the big kid. What's his name? The big linebacker for Page.
Ains.
No, it's not. Doesn't sound right to me.
Ains. ANES. Yeah, he was going to Wisconsin. Now
he's going to Tennessee.
Yeah,
he's swapped. Commits.
Yeah, and I don't know where the Hazard kid's going. That's the one on.
That's defense. The one I was thinking was Hazard.
No, it's not Hazard. It's Ains. Ains is he's their running back, and then the Hazard kid, he plays at running back or tight end, but he is on defense as his linebacker.
He is a linebacker, one of the best ones in the state of Tennessee.
Ains plays linebacker on the other side as well, and they're both good on defense. But Ains is he'll probably go to play linebacker, but Hazard.
Well, Page's on defense has given up 2 touchdowns all year. 2.
Yeah. Now, going against Hillsborough, they always have athletes. We know that.
You know they're going to have athletes.
Yeah, and they're 5-5. They won 5 ball games. They come down here. We can't take any game lightly.
No.
We've got to be ready and focus on them to get to the next week.
Got to get up early. Yeah. Don't give them any kind of momentum. Give it where you think I got a chance. I got a chance. And because the longer you let somebody like that stay in the game, the harder it's going to be to win. Hats
off to Tullahoma last night when it was 21-7. It felt like Lincoln County setting up all over again.
Oh, really?
It just 21-7. We get a stop. This game's over.
And here's the thing. It felt that way for us spectators. It felt that way for the players.
Yep.
And Tullahoma answered and then
Yeah.
answered, and it's a ball game.
Yep. Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to some college football.
I will say
Hey.
this. I believe if we get to play them again at Shelbyville,
Yeah.
different ball game.
Yeah, and I was surprised at the crowd that Tullahoma had. There was a lot of empty seats over there.
But it as
I would-
when it kicked off, there were empty seats when they were doing the senior stuff.
Yeah.
But once the game kicked off and it got going, those seats filled
Well,
up.
the middle section up there, I looked up at the start of the third quarter
Yeah,
after half. It's empty. I mean,
you know
there's like
that middle section is back seats, and
Yeah.
you've got to pay to get in those. So
I know that thing
Yeah.
was empty.
Right.
I was
they may
shocked.
not have that many. Before we get into college, I want to talk a little bit more about Bedford County sports.
All right.
We've got the elementary basketball leagues playing.
This is its second year, isn't it?
This is, I believe, it's second or third year.
Yeah.
It's new. I know today they're at community and all the elementary schools in the county, Liberty, Learning Way, Thomas Magnet, every one of them have a representative, and they're playing today at Community Middle and Community High School. They rotate. If you get a chance, come out and watch some of the young. This year they started the first time elementary soccer. So each one of the elementary schools had a soccer team also. So
Well, this brings up a subject that we've talked about.
it's not affiliated with Junior Pro at all.
Right.
This is
Right. So this brings up this developmental thing is very important for a county like Bedford County. We are away from the big city.
Mhm.
Okay. We have to develop our athletes because they're just not going to be born. I mean, they're just not going to come up out of the ground to us. So in southern middle Tennessee, we have always, all the high schools in this area, and I call it the old CTC region. You look at Cascade, you look at Community, and you look at Shelbyville, Tullahoma, Coffee County, all these teams, Fayetteville area, Lewisburg area, all these high schools, middle schools and high schools, they've got so many sports going on now. Back when we were growing up, it was 3 sports.
That's
It was
right.
basketball,
Mhm.
football, and baseball. Now
That's
you
right.
got soccer, you got volleyball, you
Wrestling.
got track, and all this
Golf.
different thing. Okay, and there's a competition for athletes right now taking place in these smaller schools, and Bedford County is no different. All right, so we've got, and I remember back in the day, you know, if you were going to play a sport, you played all 3. You just played all 3 of them. A lot of people do that.
They specialize it now.
I know. That's what I was getting to.
I know at Cascade, there's football wants theirs. There's basketball wants
That's
theirs.
what I was
there's
going to bring
baseball
up,
wants
problem.
guys.
and we don't
that's
have
a
enough.
problem.
Athletes
We don't
to
have
share.
enough athletes to specialize.
Mhm.
Your baseball players that want to play football need to play football and baseball.
Mhm.
Your football players that want to play football and baseball need to be able to do both, or basketball, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
There's got to be some coordination going on between the adults in this.
The
in the room.
coaches have got
to
work together.
understand.
Yeah.
And this stuff of basketball lasting all year, and baseball lasting all year, and whatever it is lasting all year, and you take an athlete and pulling them out of the athletic program for your one sport, you're doing a disservice to the kids, you're doing a disservice to the program, and somehow we got to coordinate better in all these smaller areas, because Shelbyville's fixing to go to 6A.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to deal with the situation of a limited number of athletes spread out over 5 sports. All right, how do we maneuver that going forward and be competitive?
Right.
It's tough.
Mhm.
I mean, we got baseball players on the football team. We got basketball players on the football team, and it needs to be more open to do that, to cross boundaries.
Mhm.
And a lot of this, you know, commit 100% to this sport, commit 100. I mean, there's just some athletes out there that want to do it all.
Mhm.
They ought to be free to do it all without being penalized.
And I think it's hard on a kid's body to play one sport and not multiple. When you play one sport, you're working on your knee or whatever it is.
Mhm.
You're ruining your knees or whatever. But at least when you swap sports, you're using different parts of your body.
right,
Mhm.
right. And these sports complement one another.
And it's not like you got all these kids going to SEC scholarships either.
Right.
It's not like this
Right.
one sport's sending you to college. 99% of them
I
are going
know-
to college to play ball.
I know Coach Corbin, the baseball coach at Vanderbilt.
Yes.
When he would come in to recruit a kid, if let's just say Chevrolet had a really good baseball player, he wouldn't watch him play baseball. He would
Nope.
go watch him play basketball, or he'd watch him play football.
He wanted to watch the other sport.
The minor kid that he recruited out of Chapel Hill, you know why he recruited him? Because he was such a good surfboarder, a skater.
That coordination,
skateboard,
yeah.
And he'd seen him get on this and do these
He had
kind of
great
things
balance.
and played basketball. That's why he recruited him there, because he saw him in a different sport, not in his focal.
And the more sports you play, the more you're around different coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, because then you show that you're able to be coached by different people.
Right. That's right.
I mean, if you're a girl, for example, back in the day, and Rick Insel's the only coach you ever had, that's the only coach you ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when you're playing multiple sports, you're going through Kenny Parker, David Thomas, Bill Anderson, 3 different coaches, and that shows you're coachable.
Right. But I think this is going to be a topic that all the smaller schools, like or the smaller counties that are in the rural areas, are going to deal with.
When you brought up Central, you're right, 6A. But let's bring up Cascade and Community in the 3A and talk about where there's not enough athletes and you're doing that there. And it's really detrimental there.
They're just like, here's what's going to happen for Bedford County sports next year. Shovel's going to 6A. Cascade and Community are both going to be 3A. And they're going to be the smaller school in each one of their categories. Yep. Shovel's going to be, I think there's like 5 or 6 schools smaller than them in 6A.
Yep. Right.
Likewise for Cascade and Community.
It's even smaller for them. I think, what was it, Community's number 2 or something? Yeah. Cascade's 5 or 6 from the. I mean, it's not good.
It's tough. It's tough to compete.
And you can't hog athletes. Take athletes and have them play one sport at a school, especially like Community and Cascade.
Be able to share them a little bit.
How many athletes are really at those 2 schools?
Hey, these coaches have got to get on a round table and sit and have a discussion about this and say, how are we going to maneuver this going forward where we can all have the optimum amount of athletes that we need.
We're all on the same team, too.
Yeah, right.
You're for the school. You're for the kid. Right. And I'm like you. I don't think it's good for the kid.
But I'm going to tell you, I'm gonna use this little program, Huntland. My buddy Bob at Huntland, you know what he did? He had the boys' basketball coach football. The baseball coach helped with football.
That's not a bad thing.
The football coaches will be a basketball assistant or help with baseball. That way you still got them. That's a good. We talked about Coach Young here and possibly helping Shovel with football.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
That's a good thing.
And you used to see that more years ago. You would see if you're a coach, you coach 2 or 3 different things that were part of it.
Here, what we're just talking about, specializing.
Right.
It's hurting us in this smaller area, in this rural area. Well, let's move on to some college football. Before we do, let's stop now. Hear a word from First Bank and Kincaid
Service
Company.
Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today.
All righty, welcome back in here to Bedford County Sports Talk Live here on this crisp fall Saturday morning after a big night of high school football. Now let's shift into some college football. Matchup for Tennessee this week is Kentucky. And I know you've got some numbers written down there. That's the Todd Bobo.
This is the official Todd Bobo line.
Todd Bobo line.
All right, here we go. Kentucky, Tennessee. Check this out. Did you know Tennessee is the only team in college football that has not given up more than 20 points in a game?
Really?
That don't surprise me.
Now, with that defense. Kentucky is the only team in the SEC that hadn't scored 20 points in an SEC game.
Something's got to give today.
So something's got to give today.
No, it don't.
The line was 16 and a half. It's gone to 17 and a half now.
Here's the thing. It don't have to give because Kentucky don't have to score 20 and Tennessee
but can Tennessee score in the first half?
I don't know.
In 3 games in a row, they hadn't scored in the first half. I think they do today.
I think they will.
So that's in Knoxville. It's going to be another night game. It seems like all Tennessee's
And
games are at night
Tennessee's
this
supposed
year.
to be wearing some kind of special uniform.
Special uniforms or something.
Some
I'm not
kind
sure
of
what they're
black
wearing.
special Black Hawk.
Now
or
listen,
something.
guys. Listen, this gets on my nerves so bad. Listen,
Our colors are what? Orange and
black.
white.
I know,
They're
but
not
they're
gray.
black.
They're not black.
gray. Listen, several Centrals blue and gold, but I see black half the season. Now they got some gold numbers on them. Don't get me wrong; the kids think it's cool, but us old timers look at our school colors is blue and gold. What happened to our gold jerseys? We don't even have them.
I
anymore,
remember when the big, and I'm old, but I remember when when it was going to be big in Knoxville. You had orange pants and orange. You went orange on
all
orange.
the way. Yeah.
Now it's black.
And they even changed the helmets up.
You know who
take my helmet away.
Who started this? Oregon. They guys started doing all these crazy uniforms back 15, 20 years ago. Nike.
Because the kids love it.
Let me give you two schools.
It's all about
but
kids.
Nike had a game plan of marketing.
You ever seen Alabama do it?
Yeah. Once. I was talking to my buddy last night coming back. Alabama did it a couple years ago, and I just laughed at it.
Yeah.
You know what they changed? The white stripe had a little houndstooth in it.
That's right. That's what I thought.
And the white numbers had a little houndstooth, just a shadow, and you really had to look to see it.
Penn State ain't done it.
That was my next question. Penn State hadn't really done it.
Penn State has.
What?
You look.
They
put numbers on the side of the helmets.
Oh my gosh!
This year. They put numbers on the side.
I tell you, somebody else is the same way as Georgia Southern. They just got the boring uniforms and puppy in the mouth.
I love Georgia Southern's uniforms.
You remember a couple years ago,
like
Maryland would come out with the weirdest uniforms every week.
Helmet.
Oh
yeah,
awful.
I still don't like that helmet.
All right, well,
like a taxi cab.
I'm sorry I brought that up. Let's dive back into some scores.
Y'all explain this one to me. Vanderbilt's going to Auburn at 11:45 today.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, the line is Auburn is favored by, it was 6.5, went to 7.5, it's back to 6.5.
I heard.
How in the world is that right?
Listen, I heard on the radio coming in this morning, because I don't research all this. I heard it on the radio. The last time Vanderbilt beat Auburn in Alabama.
It's never happened.
It was in the 40s.
It's in the 40s. Okay.
And they beat them at Montgomery.
Okay.
They played the game in Montgomery, Alabama, and not at Auburn. But it was in the 40s or 50s, and they beat them in Montgomery and not at Auburn. So, in other words, Vanderbilt has never won at Auburn.
Well, they've never beat the number one team in America either, and they've already done that this year.
Yeah.
How is the line 6.5? Is the quarterback hurt? Is there something I'm missing? I can see Auburn being favored at home by 1 or 2, maybe 3.
Call Todd and ask him what he's done.
But how in the world is that line 6.5?
You should be asking your buddy to give you these numbers.
What is it? I'm taking that all day long.
I'll take Vanderbilt all day long. Vanderbilt's going to win the game.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's going to win that.
Kentucky, Auburn's won one SEC game against Kentucky, and that's it.
The farm's not on it, is it?
No. But it does strike you as odd. It's
crazy.
one of those
It's
lines
really
where
weird.
Vegas knows something. Somebody must be hurt something. Ole Miss, Arkansas at Arkansas. Arkansas is given 7 at home. There's something about Ole Miss just isn't quite right to me.
Arkansas is the underdog?
Underdog at home by 7.
Wow.
Against Ole Miss.
I think Ole Miss will win, but I didn't realize.
But didn't something off with Ole Miss this year where you thought they were going to be better than what they have been?
I think it's quarterback play. I think he's a little up and down.
Yeah,
he's like one. He's on his point for 2 quarters, and then for 2 other quarters mixed in there, he's like making bad decisions, not throwing the ball, and then sometimes he looks like a Heisman candidate. Hey, it's just back and forth. Inconsistency's got it's hurting him right now.
Right.
You've also got the world's largest cocktail party today.
Mm-hmm.
Florida, Georgia.
Georgia, Florida.
Line 16.5. You know what? I think I like the Gators to lose, but to cover.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
And there's just something about Georgia not quite the way it has been. UMass at Mississippi State. The line's 18.5. I don't think Mississippi State can beat anybody by 18.5. Even UMass.
Even UMass.
Texas A&M at South Carolina. South Carolina giving 3 or catching 3 to A&M at home.
I'm taking A&M.
That ain't enough.
You know what? I think South Carolina's going to give them a game.
What? South Carolina's better than everybody gives them credit for.
Their defensive front 7 is as good as anybody.
And I'll say this for A&M. They caught LSU last week when they changed quarterbacks. not ready for that style of offense. And now South Carolina and everybody else that they're going to play has seen that. They'll prepare for it. It could be a little rougher. But the young man that A&M's playing at quarterback, he's a local kid right up the road there at NBA. He played at NBA last year.
What about this? And
Ohio State,
yeah,
Penn State, at
I
Penn
don't
State,
think
Penn
that'll-
State 3.5.
I don't think that's
Getting
enough.
3.5.
I don't think that's enough.
I like Penn State to beat them.
Do you?
in
I
the
do.
upset. I think
Nebraska had Ohio State
yeah, I know.
last week.
Right. Ohio State is not what we think they are.
And I will tell you right now, if somehow Franklin does beat them, this coach at Ohio State's in trouble. He loses this game, he's in trouble.
I was talking to a really good friend of mine, Chuck Craig, last night going to the Tullahoma game. There is an interesting story at Ohio State and their tight end that people need to look into. And I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
Their tight end, he's from out west Oregon or somewhere. He was like the 60th top prospect coming out of high school. He chose Ohio State over some others. And me as a person that is, I hope Ohio State loses every game, just to be honest with you.
Yeah.
All right? When he's on the field, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
So look,
we'll have to
go back and look into that.
What else you got?
$20 million worth of NIL. I don't think it was worth it. Ohio State. What I'm saying, they spent
$20
$20 million NIL money. $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh is undefeated.
Right.
Been a long time, I think, since maybe Johnny Majors way back in the day. They were undefeated. They had SMU. That's an interesting ball game. Louisville's at Clemson. I think Louisville might can play with them a little while. The line's 10.5.
I'm gonna ask you this question before we go anywhere else. You picked Penn State to beat Ohio State.
Yep.
All right. I'm going this way with the college football playoffs. Looking at the college football playoffs right now, Alabama's out because they've lost 2 games.
Right.
Will Ohio State be out because they've lost 2 games?
They should be.
They should be.
And they're trying to pick the best teams, but they
ain't trying to pick the best teams. They're picking the best records.
Well, that's debatable, but
what really hurts Alabama is not just the 2 losses; it's losing to Vanderbilt, and that's going to.
No, what's losing to Alabama is over the SEC. Like we said earlier, just kill each other.
Sure,
just kill each other. And these other schools, these other cars don't have the number of programs in there.
I tell you what, I like Texas A&M where they're sitting right now.
They said last night, I heard coming back in from the Tullahoma game on the radio, and it was Doug Matthews and coach that helps with the Titans,
Dave McGinnis.
Dave McGinnis. The SEC this year, over 60% of the SEC games this year have been 1-scored games into the fourth quarter. 1-possession games in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
60% of the SEC games this year, and it's an all-time low with the winning the differential.
Well,
average
I
of the
think
winning.
you could take teams like South Carolina and Arkansas and throw them in the Big Ten, and they're in contention.
And because
they're up in the top.
But I think what evened things up even more in the SEC was the NIL and the transfer portal.
Yeah.
That's but where before you had the top of the SEC and a bottom.
It's evened it up.
And it's evened it up.
And it's also hurt it a little bit because we've got some of our players that you're gonna hear about in the Penn State Ohio State game. This kid played at Alabama. This kid played at Georgia. This kid played. They're going.
I saw Auburn cut their best corner. Did y'all see this? He was at Alabama last year.
Mm-hmm.
Had problems at Alabama. Had problems at Auburn. And Freeze cut him. Wouldn't come to practice.
That's why he wasn't at Alabama.
That's why he wasn't at Alabama.
Tony Sanders brings up a question here to us. What happens if Tennessee gets beat by Vanderbilt this year? What happens?
They're out of the playoffs.
They very well could be out.
Yeah,
and they very well could lose to them
and
too.
I'm gonna tell you
I don't think Tennessee's one of the SEC teams that could lose to and be in there. Maybe Georgia is about the only one at this point.
Well, I think if Tennessee were to lose to Georgia, I still think they're probably going to get in.
You think so?
Yep. Okay. If they lose to Georgia. But if they lost to Vanderbilt, that would be the difference.
I don't know. It's going to be wild to
This is
All
me.
right.
I think they're looking for ways to get the SEC out anyway.
Well, they might be.
Mhm.
You got all these other conference champions that are coming up. You look at BYU; they're undefeated still, right?
They ain't
And I
playing
just
nobody.
don't
I know
think
they're not
I
playing
don't think they're
anybody,
that good.
but you know what?
Notre Dame's back in there.
I
And
know
they ain't
it,
playing nobody.
but you watch; they're going to be in there. They'll be in the
Mhm.
12.
Yes.
If you
And
if
Notre
a team,
Dame will be too.
And what about Indiana? Where are they now?
Well, they're going to
Undefeated.
be in there. They're
Exactly.
undefeated. Mhm.
They're going to be.
And-
We
and-
talked about
and
it.
But now their last
here-
4 games are tough.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
don't play. They don't play Oregon.
Mhm.
They don't play Ohio State. They don't play Penn State.
They don't play Texas. They don't play Georgia. They don't play Alabama. They don't play Tennessee.
What I'm talking about,
I know.
Indiana is
I
not
know.
playing any of the upper echelon teams
No.
in the Big Ten.
You throw them in the SEC, and they're going to finish in the
But I
bottom
will
five.
say this too. I think now that we went to this playoff thing, these conference championships need to go away.
Yeah.
That added game
Yeah.
needs
It's
to go
another
away.
chance for a loss.
It's another chance.
That's
yes, sir.
up to the SEC
But I'm
to
gonna-
do
I'm
that.
gonna
They
tell
don't
you.
have to have it.
If
It's all about the money,
Have to have
though.
it. Yeah.
I've said this before, if I'm going into this playoff scenario, I don't want to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. I want to be 5.
Yeah, because you
I
play the
want
middle
to be
of that pack.
5
Yeah.
because if I'm 5, I'm going to play 4.
Yeah. You're not playing a 1 or a 2.
I'm not going to play a 1 or 2, and a 4 is going to be. It's either going to be somebody out of the Big 12
Yeah.
or the ACC.
I was still in the top 4.
We're running
Yeah.
out of time.
Yeah.
This we're going to have
We'll
have
have-
a college football day
Yeah.
once high school's over
Yeah,
with.
we
And we'll be
will.
in the
We
bowl
will.
season by then. But let's take a break and come back, and we will briefly.
Do we have to?
Do we have to?
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about the Titans. We don't want
Okay,
to.
good.
We'll talk about the Packers.
I didn't bring my bag.
But we're
Come on.
all right. We'll be right back right after this word from Kincaid Service Company.
Company is a locally owned family business that has proudly served the Middle Tennessee area since 1934. We have a wide selection of furniture, appliances, electronics, and mattresses for every budget and design taste. We carry the brands that you know and trust, so you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. Need financing? We have you covered. With our service department, you can rest assured that we will take care of you after the purchase. Visit our Shelbyville store at 400 Madison Street today.
All righty, welcome back in here to Bedford County Sports Talk Live. And Bill, we're going to talk about the NFL. Do you have anything to say about the Titans this morning?
Can you believe the Tennessee Titans are favored over anybody in the National Football League?
They are this week.
Take the
against New
Patriots in
England.
the 3.5. Titans may not win
Hey,
another
let me tell you
game.
something. If there's any way we can lose it, we'll figure out how to
Absolutely.
do it.
Y'all guys.
We're fair weather friends.
Yeah,
you know?
y'all fair weather. What's quarterback deal going to be?
Who knows?
Is
I don't know. He
Still-
looks as
he's
bad as
still-
Levis at this point, so what difference
Put
does it make?
Stonehouse in.
Yeah.
Come on, it ain't going to be. I think Titans will win.
Oof.
I do.
I don't think he can beat anybody.
I do.
What does it mean if they do win?
Nothing.
They're the third worst team
well,
instead of the
here's-
second worst team?
Patriots aren't that bad. Just telling you.
No, they're not.
We're that bad.
Okay.
52 points. Okay. 300 yards in receiving
what
return
got-
yardage. Over 300 yards given
last
up.
week? You're always going to have one of those games, and they had it last week.
We've had a bunch of them already.
against a Lions team that my Packers are going.
Talk about
face
horrible
tomorrow.
special teams. How much worse can that be?
I'm
was
getting
bad.
depressed. I mean, this
Let's
is
move
not-
on.
Well, if you want to get even more depressed, have you seen the PSL prices?
No, right. You want people to pay that to go watch that?
At the new stadium,
Yeah.
Of all
It's
the
like,
friends I've got, I
sell your
know one.
house.
I know one person out of about 20 that have renewed their tickets. One.
I've got a friend that's up to us. But
I mean,
yeah,
the upper
it's-
deck stuff is.
And
like
guess
in the
who that
$1,000.
one is? The only one that I know.
Who's that?
Joe Time Garrett out there. Dr. Garrett and Joe renewed their tickets, and Joe was not happy in the office the other day. He
They're
goes, I don't think I should have done it.
They're optimistic. Then.
Very well. I don't know. I think reality court has set in.
But I think over time when the coach came in, we knew this was as Titans fans. We're ready to compete for the Super Bowl,
No, I just want to
and
compete.
it wasn't there all along. And I'm telling you, I think they're about 4 or 5 offensive pieces. They gave up the defense we talked about last week. They're the number one defense. They still the defense. They just heck, it's hard to play defense when the other team's getting the ball on the 30.
Yeah.
it's hard to play defense when they're getting it on the 30 because they ain't got 30 yards to go before they score. So that's not on the defense. I think we're a little bit away. Special teams really hurt last week.
Yep.
Really hurt last
Turnovers
week.
hurt every week.
And a couple of linemen away.
You know how many interceptions the Titans have on defense this year?
How many? One?
One.
Well, hey,
we throw an interception a quarter on offense.
That's been a problem for the.
Oh, wow.
All right, Robbie Davis has a question.
I'm talking about the defense. Defense hadn't had a whole lot of turnovers.
3 all year.
We
turned that over in a half. Levis will do that in a half.
Directed to you.
I'm sure it is.
Davis. He didn't say it, but I know it's you.
I'm sure it is.
Who is the final decision maker on draft day in the Titans organization?
Rand Carthon.
Bill Anderson.
Rand Carthon now.
They have missed on more top picks than any NFL franchise except the Raiders.
He is correct, and that was John Robinson. Now, Carthon, that was his first real draft was this last year. And it looks like it's okay.
I think they call 389-684 or something to get there.
All right.
Oof.
All right, what about the Packers?
Well, if they were calling me, I wouldn't have drafted Will Levis.
Yeah.
Robbie Davis, you wouldn't have either.
All right, so you've got Packers.
Big Lions, big game with the Detroit Lions today.
Yeah.
Question is, who's the quarterback?
Got some, not just the quarterback, got a lot of injuries.
Let me tell you something.
Quarterback's out. Could be out. Jair Alexander
out.
Could very well be out. The safety that's playing Williams is playing he's out. So it could be. But again, we got arguably the best backup quarterback in the league.
Well, thank you, Tennessee Titans.
You're going up against the best backfield. Montgomery and Gibbs is the best in the NFL.
And one of my favorite head coaches. I love that guy.
I like him too.
Man, you gotta love Campbell.
Yeah,
he's one of them. You know, he's a guy that could put the uniform on.
I'd love to see the Chiefs and the Lions in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
I'd be for the Lions.
Yeah. All right. Anything else going on NFL wise that has everybody shocked?
Well, you've had more of the trades and everything, but I think the Buffalo Bills have really come on now.
Man,
that they got Amari Cooper, and now Keon Coleman's playing well. I think the Bills are coming on at the right time.
But you know what? I really enjoyed last week because Tampa Bay wore the creamsicles.
Oh, I love those uniforms.
I like those uniforms.
And with all the injuries they've had, they still played pretty doggone. They've lost their 2 best receivers.
And they still played well.
In
those uniforms.
I love those uniforms.
What about Jameis Winston taking over?
That's huge because all of a sudden Cleveland goes from horrible to pretty good, and Winston has looked good. Cedric Tillman from Tennessee.
One-time wonder.
No, it's 2 weeks in a row with Cedric Tillman's had 2 huge games.
Between he and Hyde coming out, I thought Tillman was going to be the better NFL receiver. And so far, it's starting to shape up that way now.
But how bad does this make Deshaun Watson look? 2 years in a row, they brought Flacco in. They started winning. Now it's Jameis Winston comes in. At some point, Deshaun Watson can't play football.
They got so much invested in him.
He said
that
he's
was
done playing
messed
football.
up.
And all the other NFL owners
those Cleveland back years
are still mad at the Haslams for writing that deal because it changed the way people pay quarterbacks.
The way people pay. That's right.
And the Haslams did it. Now they're paying for it.
All right, guys, it's time for us to wrap things up. It's going to be interesting to watch some college football today, and then see how things play out tomorrow between the Titans and the Patriots.
Well, good thing about tomorrow, I get to watch the Titans because they come on at 1 and the Packers come on at 4:30, so I get to watch both of them.
All right, guys.
I might skip watching tomorrow.
I might too.
Hey, next week, 7 o'clock, Shelby Central High School.
Yes.
Hillsborough.
Round 1.
Elementary basketball community today.
Get out there and check out those kids.
And it's not junior pro. They use TSSAA officials.
Awesome.
They use TSSAA officials. So
good deal, guys. Thanks for watching this morning. Tune back in, and again, we thank our sponsors: First Bank of Shelbyville and Kincaid
Service
Company.